Hey guys, coming at you today with a delicious cake recipe made with chocolate and hazelnut called a Gianduja. It's a delicious truffle-like flourless cake and we're gonna make it keto. So let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome back. If you're new here, thanks for joining me. My name's Alycia. I'm a pastry chef with a sweet tooth, and now I own a keto gluten-free bakery. And I'm here to show you all the tips and tricks on how to make the best recipes possible. So if you enjoy my recipes, please hit the subscribe button down there, give the video a thumbs up, leave me comments, and share with all your friends and family. It all helps me, my bakery, and my channel grow and bring you new recipes every Saturday. Today, my birthday cake, a delicious chocolate hazelnut cake. I'm gonna add a bunch of extras on top, of course, because it's for my birthday, but I'm gonna share a bunch of different tips and tricks and alternatives you can do with this cake along the way. So let's jump into this cake recipe. So this cake was very easy to make keto because it was already flourless. There's just a couple things we had to switch up. If you haven't seen last week's video, I'll link it up there for you. The chocolate hazelnut spread, you will need a whole batch of that for this cake recipe. I have it kind of warming up on my stove because it was only like 65 degrees in here when I got in. So that part was by the stove. I'm gonna keep turning it and getting it a little bit more soft. Same thing with my one stick of butter because it's been out, but it's not softened. Other than that, it's just flavorings, eggs, and some ground hazelnuts, which I actually did this with ground walnuts because if you saw my Nutella video, you saw that I was having trouble getting not expired hazelnuts and I wanted to do some tests on this recipe. So I tried some alternatives too that turned out great. So if you don't have the hazelnut spread, I did do peanut butter and I did ground walnuts, and it turned out perfectly fine also. So a lot of different ways you can change this cake up. I also already have my oven preheated to 350 because once you have everything kind of out room temperature, it's not a very difficult cake to throw together. I'm gonna start with getting 6 eggs separated. This is really the hardest part of this cake. A lot of the recipes said to whip the egg whites, switch out, and then do the second part of the cake with the egg yolks and the paddle attachment. I like to do everything kind of at once. So I'm gonna get my mixer going with the other ingredients and whip up my egg whites with my hand mixer. If you have 2 bowls for your KitchenAid, you can definitely do them both on the KitchenAid. So I have 2 containers here. I'm gonna separate my 6 eggs. If any of your yolks break, make sure you get it right into your yolk container before you get any egg yolks in your egg whites. And then I'm going to transfer my egg whites into a clean bowl. That way, if one does break, I don't contaminate all 6 of the egg whites. And that one broke. I also halved this recipe and it worked also. So I made little tiny individual cakes with just a half batch. So this is gonna make a full 9-inch springform pan. So it's a pretty decent sized cake. Oh, I've been forgetting. Good thing none of them broke. Okay, we're gonna set the eggs aside for now. We're gonna get everything ready to go because it goes pretty fast once you get, things mixing and beating and all that stuff. So I already have ground hazelnuts here. If you make my Nutella the same day you're doing the cake, grind up your hazelnuts you need for the cake before you make your Nutella. That's what I did the first day I made this. But like I said, you can use anything. If you have like ground pecan flour or something like that, you can definitely use it. That's 2/3 cup. I figured it was about 70 grams. I looked up a ton of different recipes for this and they were all different in measurements, grams, some didn't give grams, stuff like that. So I think this is a pretty forgiving cake. So I don't think you have to be super precise on a lot of this stuff. And then another major thing with this is the sweetness level. Now, if you made the Nutella, you made it to the sweetness you like. And then the original recipe just called for a whole jar of Nutella, which is 13 ounces, and then only 2 tablespoons of extra sweetener in there. And then it used bittersweet chocolate. So if those are all things you like, I would keep it with a dark chocolate. We don't have keto bittersweet chocolate. I like things a little bit sweeter, so I'm gonna do this one with milk chocolate because it is my birthday cake. And also, I'm making it a little bit sweeter too because I'm making it with some coffee instead of some of the usual add-ins for this cake, which I'll get to in a minute. We need 4 ounces, about 3/4 of a cup of chocolate chips, or 112 grams. Okay, so I'm using instant espresso powder. The reason I'm making this cake is because the first bakery I ever worked at had a cake called a Kahlua Crunch cake, and it was pretty much the only cake on the menu I had no hand in making, so I don't really know what it was, and I really wish I would have looked it up before I left. But it was like a thick, I'm pretty sure it was just a flourless chocolate cake on the bottom, but I already have a recipe for that, so I wanted to do something different. So I'm doing the Gianduja as the base of the cake, but I'm adding coffee to it, and then I'm gonna add some toffee crunch on top because they had like a Heath bar top on the cake, along with some chocolate coffee whipped cream. So I'm modeling this cake after that cake that I had back when I was 19, so 20 years ago, and it was my favorite cake there. So a traditional Gianduja cake, there was a bunch of different recipes that had a bunch of different add-ins. The one I specifically followed mostly was orange juice or cognac, but then I looked up other recipes that said frangelico, which is a hazelnut liqueur, rum, or water. So 1 tablespoon of kind of whatever flavoring liquid you want to add to this. I'm going to do 1 tablespoon of water, and I'm going to put 2 teaspoons of espresso powder in there. And I think I'm going to add coffee extract, which the original recipes, most of them called for vanilla extract, so I'm just going to do coffee instead. So I really want that coffee flavor in there. I'm going to give this a little stir. Our Nutella is definitely not as soft as a regular Nutella. That's better. Now the last thing we need is our sweetener that we're gonna add into our whipping egg whites. Now I'm trying to fit all this in frame. I'm gonna get my chocolate chips right into the microwave because we gotta melt this. And the last thing before we get started mixing is preparing your 9-inch springform pan. I'm just gonna put 1 piece of parchment paper in the bottom and spray the sides. It came out perfect. It really doesn't stick to the sides of the pan. A little big, as always. Sprayed the sides, just wiping it nice. And the original reason I thought of this cake was because I had a pastry chef at the last job I had at the country club, and she used to make this Gianduja all the time for the menu. So when I was making the hazelnut spread, I'm like, oh, I gotta look up that cake recipe. So we'll start with getting our butter and hazelnut spread going while we're whipping the egg whites. And we'll melt our chocolate at the same time. I like to do everything at the same time. So I'm using salted butter. If not, you gotta add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt to your mixture here. I'm gonna start by giving that a little beat just because it's not super soft. I think it's good to add in hazelnut spread. Yeah, now we're nice and spreadable. Be a little bit easier to incorporate. So this is 13 ounces, so 1 ounce shy of a full batch that we did last week. Put that right in. And Gianduja actually is the name of a chocolate hazelnut spread or paste that is Italian. But I remember my pastry chef using the jars of Nutella. Obviously, I'm gonna have to stop and scrape down a couple times. Basically, you're just mixing everything into here except for the egg whites. Just wanna get it all nice and fully combined. Okay, the egg whites are pretty much soft peaks right now, and our butter and hazelnut spread are good, so I'm gonna add in our egg yolks. And if you have dark chocolate, it's a lot harder to melt dark chocolate than it is milk, pretty much completely melted. I'm gonna grab it out here in a minute and give it a stir while this is going. I think I actually might have burned the chocolate. Yep. Wow. That's why you don't melt chocolate on full power. And get another 4 ounces in the microwave. Scrape down this. We're gonna add in our coffee. And I'm gonna add 1 teaspoon of coffee extract too. We're almost at stiff peaks. Stop and scrape this guy. Okay, our chocolate is good. Yeah, I forgot I did it that way last time and I had too much chocolate on the beater. Add it in and then turn it on. Okay, mix that up and get our egg whites done. Okay, hazelnuts in. That's it. Clean off the batter real good. Now you start with 1/4 of the egg whites. Lighten this up a little bit. See, ours gets weepy at the bottom. I don't know if it's just because of our sweetener, but it was at stiff peaks and that happened with me on the first one too. So I was like, maybe if we do it at the same time as we're whipping the other stuff and it's freshly whipped and not sitting, it'll be a little bit less weepy, but it must just be our sweetener that does that. We go. Now we fold in all the rest. And folding is cutting in and folding up. And I usually kind of move my bowl around as I'm doing it. Just until there are no visible egg white streaks in there. Okay, looks good. Into your prepared pan. Make sure I got all the way down to the bottom. All that out. And then I have my hazelnut Nutella spatula here, so I'm just gonna spread it all out evenly. Okay, looks good. You don't want really anything up top because it will burn. Clean up the edges a little bit. Now the recipe I followed said 40 to 45 minutes. So I cooked at 40, but it was way done at 40. So I'm definitely gonna err on the side of caution and check it at 35. So I'm gonna do 20, turn it, just set it for 15 instead of 20. And it's done when the middle comes out clean with a tester or starts pulling away from the sides of the pan. Into the oven it goes. Okay, it's been 35 minutes. It smells so good. Might be a tiny bit on there. We'll give it the 5 more minutes, I suppose. But it is just about there, I think. I might check it in 3. Okay, I pulled it out at 38 minutes and it is done. So I'm gonna put this on the back rack here and let it cool, and then we can decorate it. Okay, the pan is cool to the touch, so if you're impatient like me or short on time, you definitely want to take it out. You see it came away from the sides. And then if you have a big offset spatula, try to get under the parchment and lift it off onto a cooling rack. Oop, broke it a little bit. Oopsies. But I'm gonna let that cool. I have stuff ready to make a ganache. So I got 4 ounces, 112 grams of a semi-sweet chocolate chip and 112 grams of heavy cream. And I decided I'm just gonna chop up some hazelnuts to sprinkle on top to decorate this cake. There are many serving suggestions online. A lot of them are just like a sweetened whipped cream with fresh berries. So putting this aside to cool the rest of the way. I might throw it in the fridge just because I'm running out of time, like always. Okay, it's chilling in the fridge. I'm gonna get going on this ganache. I added a half teaspoon of coffee extract into my ganache. If you're doing like an orange flavored kind of thing, you can add some orange extract if you want. I chopped up my hazelnuts. I'm gonna add some extra stuff for my birthday cake, so I'll show you a picture of the finished here. But if you wanna make a whipped cream for the top, I have a stabilized whipped cream video. You can make 3 different ways. I'm gonna throw this in the microwave and just get it steaming and pour it over the chocolate chips. Okay, I basically scalded the cream. You can see there's like a little, I don't know if you can see it, but there's like a little film on top almost, and it's steaming. So I'm gonna pour this over the chocolate chips. And I got a plate here, so I'm just gonna cover this with this a little bit, maybe. This cake is best served at room temperature, so the one just suggested put it onto whatever serving platter you want to put it on and serve it at room temperature with some whipped cream on the side. If you don't put any kind of whipped cream on top or anything, you can leave it out at room temperature. I've had a cake sitting on my countertop for a week and it's fine. So that just has to set for a couple of minutes and then we can whisk it up. And my cake is still warm. Oops. Oh wells. Now, if you do the exact same thing as me with the 4 ounces of ganache, or well, it's 8 ounces, and 1 ounce of the roasted hazelnuts on top, it's gonna be 4 grams of net carbs for a 1/16 of it. If you use dark chocolate throughout instead of the milk in it and the semi-sweet on top, it's 3 grams net carbs for a 1/16. The full macros are always down in the description box and in the blog post, so you know. This is kind of high in total carbs just because we have a lot of sugar alcohols from the chocolate and extra fiber from the chocolates. There is our beautiful ganache. Let's see what the temperature is. 84. Probably should get this right on even though the cake is not cooled. So I'm gonna put it onto this cake round. Okay, hopefully this hasn't set too much yet. Probably gonna put it back in the fridge after this. Might not need all this either. I just took an estimation. Yeah, we're gonna need it all. Chopped hazelnuts. Oh, looks delicious. There is our chocolate hazelnut flourless chocolate cake. Now I'm gonna let it cool, hopefully completely, before I slice into it. We'll see. Okay, threw it into the freezer for a little bit too, but the top is down to 60 and the bottom is down to like 75, so I'm gonna cut into it, even though I probably should wait. Ooh, yeah, the middle's still soft. Super, like, truffle-like center. Looks so good. If you use all dark chocolate and everything, without the ganache, you can cut into 14 slices and it'll be 3 grams net carbs. I think even with the milk chocolate, it was only 3 grams net carbs for a 1/14 of it. But I wanted the ganache on top. Excited. Just melts in your mouth. Super delicious. It'll be really good with the whipped cream on top. It just like cuts through the richness, truffly center of the cake. Super rich chocolate, hazelnut flavor. Oh, it's so good. This would be delicious with some keto ice cream too. I'll link my keto ice cream playlist down in the description box. It's so good. I want to eat this whole piece. But I won't. So I hope you guys enjoyed this delicious cake recipe video. Let me know down in the comments below what your favorite go-to birthday cake is. Mine always has to be chocolate, but it's fun to have some fun with it and try different flavors and different kinds of cake. Don't forget to check out my Amazon shop page. The link will be down in the description box below, along with the blog link to the full recipe. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, I'll be back with many more keto, low-carb, healthy meals, desserts, and snack recipes. Bye, guys. Happy keto baking!